The power of three: the agitator, the innovator, and the orchestrator. Why are some social movements change the course of history and others flop in a short space of time? Every successful social movement requires three distinct leadership roles: the agitator, the innovator, and the orchestrator. What determines whether a social movement will be a flash in the pan or a real catalyst for a long-term change? Why did Occupy Wall Street subside in a matter of months, for instance, while the American civil rights movement thrived, resulting in the passage of multiple laws? Research suggests that there are common themes among those social movements that don't merely broadcast the need for a social change, but create a long-term impact. All successful social movements feature three distinct leadership roles: the agitator, the innovator, and the orchestrator. Any successful pathway to societal change requires all the three: the agitator, the innovator, and the orchestrator. If you look at the history of any successful social change movement, you will see moments of really effective agitation, innovation, and orchestration that led to the adoption of the change. For more than a decade, professors at Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, and Wits have studied and researched how organizations and individuals implement changes that diverge from taken for granted norms. Although history remembers some individual actors as highly influential, single leaders rarely change the course of society on their own. Let's start with the first role: the orchestrator. The orchestrator spreads the solution created by the innovator, continuously strategizing how best to reach and work with people both within and outside the movement as the movement for change grows in size and complexity. You are a valuable instrument in the orchestration of your own world and the overall harmony of the universe. Always be in command of your music. Only you can control and shape its tone. If life throws you a few bad notes or vibrations, don't let them interrupt or alter your song. Orchestrators often need to tailor their message to the interests of the various constituencies they are trying to persuade to embrace the change. However, they need to strike a fine balance in doing so, as they also need to ensure that the overall message around change adoption remains coherent. Heaven is all around us. All we need is the perception to exalt the melodies of nature's orchestra. Life is an orchestra with success and failure as two essential instruments. They complement each other and are needed at different stages of life to achieve delight. Agitation without innovation means complaints without alternatives, and innovation without orchestration means ideas without impact. Should you agitate, innovate, or orchestrate? Understanding the roles you can play in a movement towards social change is very critical. Let's start with the first one: the innovator. The innovator develops a solution to address the grievances. That means anticipating roadblocks and coming up with alternative paths and justifying those alternatives in appealing ways to engage individuals, groups, and organizations to support them. Some of the characteristics innovative business leaders embody include the following. Being innovative means doing things differently or doing things that have never been done before. An innovator has embraced this idea and creates environments in which employees are given the tools and the resources to challenge the status quo, push boundaries, and achieve growth. Innovators are authentic leaders committed to creating dynamic, highly productive, and values-based organizations that hire passionate people about their work, give them opportunities to grow, make them feel valued and respected, and give them clarity about their roles and responsibilities. Innovators understand innovation never happens in a vacuum. They value, build, and sustain active, vibrant networks of people, assets, and organizations. Instead of viewing collaboration as a challenge, they see it as an opportunity to identify strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. Innovators are committed to diversity and understand it takes many different points of view to fully grasp the complexity of economic, technological, and other challenges. Innovators have let go of the high control, low trust model of leadership and lead by directing from the center of their organizations. They empower employees to be creative and develop the skills they need to move to the next level in their careers. Innovators are not taking shortcuts and are not afraid of going after more complex solutions, even if it means taking higher risks. Innovators understand innovation is not a one-time thing. Those start-up companies and those that are several generations old have to continuously reach above and beyond what they have done before to stay competitive. This requires innovators to be effective change managers who know how to navigate through resistance to their ideas. Innovators are not afraid to break with the norm and push past conventional wisdom that causes people to think in a box. They are aware customers don't always know what they want. Innovators understand paying too much attention to traditional business metrics can inhibit companies from making breakthroughs. At the same time, however, their businesses and their business success speak for itself. Innovators contribute new, unconventional ideas of their own. Innovation takes place on many levels. The significant breakthroughs usually get the attention, but if we want our world to maintain its competitive edge in the long run, we need to encourage, support, and celebrate innovation on a smaller, much broader scale as well. It all starts with leadership. So let's make sure our companies can identify innovative leadership when they see it and size it. An innovator is likely someone who has studied, lived, or experienced something beyond the norms in a given environment and thus can create a vision of a different future that nonetheless makes sense to and captivates those living within the existing practices and conditions, power, and influence in society. Without leaders who can lay out a clear path of innovation, a movement will never make it past the agitation stage. Innovators sometimes draw on existing proven approaches to create long-lasting solutions. If you do not innovate and have a solution to the problem you have identified, the movement will die. Agitators. The agitator stirs the pot by articulating and publicizing societal grievances, rallying an otherwise diverse group of people around a mutual desire for change. Effective agitators can draw attention to a problem and convince others that it requires both some corrective action and collective work to bring it about. To demonstrate that the status quo is not acceptable and to mobilize others, agitators thus need to communicate to ensure grievances are shared, and collective and not seen as irrelevant. If you do not innovate and have a solution to the problem you have identified, the movement will die. Agitators need to communicate the necessity of the social change movement. Innovators need to share the validity of their proposed solution. And orchestrators must tailor information to different types of constituencies, sometimes different groups all over the world, while still maintaining a cohesive message. Agitators are a set of interfering, meddling people who come down to some perfectly contented class of the community and sow the seeds of discontent among them. That is the reason why agitators are so necessary. Agitators must also organize and launch a collective action against the status quo. Innovators must build a coalition of support behind their ideas, and orchestrators must expand and sustain the collaborative effort. Each of these three roles also comes with its own set of traps and a point when talking to action-driven colleagues or students. Among agitators, fragmented agitation triggering multiple areas of outrage that can't work together. A cohesive cause and a stalled solution, raising a valid complaint but lacking a remedy to offer. Among innovators, tunnel vision, failing to consider the negative implications of a proposed solution, and impractical elegance, proposing a solution that looks great on a computer screen but is virtually impossible to orchestrate. Among orchestrators, mission drift, losing sight of the envisaged social change and dilution, watering down the movement to the point that it no longer addresses the grievances. The key is to include continually assessing progress and changes in the environment and understanding the individual's sources of power and motivations. Power may come from confidential sources, positional sources, and relational sources. Leaders leverage these various sources of control as they push for change. Most movements are full of hidden heroes. Great heroes need great sorrows and burdens, or have their grievances goes unnoticed. It is all part of the fairy tale. Behind any successful movement lies a great deal of thankless determination and sweat. My heroes are the dreamers, those men and women who tried to make the world a better place than when they found it, whether in small ways or great ones. Some succeeded, some failed, most had mixed results, but it is the effort that's heroic, as I say it. Win or lose, I admire those who fight the good fight. Social change takes time. It takes a lot of work, and most of the time you are not going to get a lot of recognition. Most movements are full of hidden heroes, if you will. No one may ever know about them. Some of them had to work their whole lives and didn't see the moment when finally things changed. But they played critical roles in agitation, orchestration, and innovation. Music, as they say, is the universal language that allows all people to communicate with each other. If God had designed the orchestra, then the solo was his most significant accomplishment. We are all ordinary people. We are even dull. And at the same time, we are also spectacular. At other times, we are all shy. Even though at times we are bold and sometimes heroic, and at other times helpless, be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone feels loved and believes in the goodness in people. Remember, the things you do for yourself are gone when you are gone, but the things you do for others remain your legacy. Every society needs heroes, and every community has them. The reason we don't often see them is that we don't bother to look. There are two kinds of heroes. We are also heroes who shine in the face of great adversity and perform an impressive feat in a difficult situation. Heroes also live among us. They do their work unceremoniously, unnoticed by many of us, but who make a difference in the lives of others. Heroes are selfless people who perform extraordinary acts. The mark of heroes is not necessarily the results of their actions, but what they are willing to do for others in their chosen cause. Even if they fail, their determination lives on for others to follow. The glory lies not in the achievement, but in the sacrifice. Heroes got shaped by the paths they chose, not the powers they have. Heroes may not be braver than anyone else. They're just braver 5 minutes longer. In the final analysis, all the three roles, agitator, innovator, the orchestrator, build character and make us the species which always create and leave our footprints on the rivers, on the seas, in the mountains of the planet called Earth. We are in search of the agitator, the innovator, and the orchestrator. Contact us at futurist@, freshthinking.ca.za. Yours, the thinking futurist, Dr. Masesekani, Meshack, Khosa. Thank you.